It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha! Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone. It's Brouhaha time. Marshall Wood and Dale McKee ready to kick it off for another outing. Good evening, sir. That's you, Dale.
Good evening, everybody.
Oh,
Time of year, I don't know one from the other.
Well, I tell you what, I know one thing. This past last night, kind of got tough in the weather around here, didn't it?
It sure did.
That was a real brouhaha.
I tell you what, that was one of them nights that you just hunker down and hope for the best, right?
Hunker down. Lots of sports news, Dale, we can talk about. I was reading your Sideline View. I always enjoy that, and I see you started off with the National Football League playoffs. I know we got some other things in football we're going to talk about later, but let's kind of look at the National Football League playoffs a little bit. That's a big thing. You want to tell us a little bit about that, or do you want me to kind of run with that?
Well, why don't you begin it, and I'll just fill in.
Fill in. That's just like what's that song you sang? Daddy sang bass, Mama sang tenor. Me and little brother just join right in there. So we'll just join. We'll join right in there. I see here where you wrote that the National Football League playoffs begin this weekend. Top seed in the AFC is Baltimore. And the NFC top seed is San Francisco. They'll get buys this weekend. Those are two pretty good football teams. And I guess you're right now, if you had to pick winners, that'd be who'd be playing in the Super Bowl. You think anybody can keep them out of there?
No, well, I tell you what, both of them are playing awful good football.
Yeah.
They met about 2 or 3 weeks ago in a regular season game, and I tell you what, Baltimore was impressive that night against San Francisco. But the NFL is, it's kind of week to week,
Man.
You never know what you're going to get, Kind of like that box of chocolates,
That's
Don't know what you're going to get, Mama.
Far as going. We look at the playoff brackets, Dale, and, the Ravens got to bye. Bills come in, and they're going to play the number 7. Bills come in at 2 in the AFC. They're going to play number 7 Steelers. Bills got a pretty good football team. I like their quarterback, Dale.
Yeah, they just, when he plays well and he doesn't make mistakes, they play awful well. They play awful good football.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do. They've been a little inconsistent during the year, but when you finish 11-6, that's a pretty good record in the NFL in this day and time. Because if you really look at the NFL standings, there's a lot of 11-6 teams up there, and there's not too many. I think San Francisco has 13 wins in the NFC, and Dallas and Detroit have 12 wins. And in the other league, Baltimore has 13, and I'm not sure if anybody else even has 12. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, that quarterback, that guy from I call him the Cowboy because he played at Wyoming, but he's done real good. That's their first and second. The Chiefs and the Dolphins matching up. Oh, how you like that one? The Dolphins seem like they could be really good. Just based on their playing and things like that.
Miami hadn't really played well the last couple of ball games offensively. And you have to, you like to be playing pretty good going into the playoffs. And I just don't think that they're playing as well as they did. I think they might have reached their peak there at about week 14 or 15, And it's a long season, they have 18 weeks in the regular season basically now to play 17 games. I just think that they reached their peak, and they're going to have a tough time getting it out, especially when you got to go to Kansas City to play.
Yeah.
Chiefs may have the biggest home field advantage of any NFL team there is right now.
Who's that? Taylor Swift?
Yeah, well, just earned the other 80-something thousand to cram in there. I think that's the only thing to do in Kansas and Missouri, they're right there on the line, and so I guess that's the only thing to do there. Play football.
Football. Last AFC matchups, the Texans versus the Browns, and I just ain't excited about that game at all. I don't know why.
Well, you say that, but, after watching really the Texans for the first time the other night against the Colts, they got a little spunky little team, They got a rookie quarterback, the Stroud kid from Ohio State. And
he's done well, hasn't he?
He seems he just plays well. They got a rookie coach, and supposed to be the first time in NFL history they've had a rookie coach and a rookie quarterback winning the division. I thought that was interesting.
That is good.
One thing I read was really interesting about the NFL. They have 3 teams that they call their Lake Erie teams. I don't know if you could name them all, but there's 3 of them. Okay.
Okay.
And this is the first year that all 3 of them have made the playoffs together in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
All 3 of them making the playoffs in the same year. Could you name those 3 Lake Erie football teams?
Well, I've never minded embarrassing myself. I don't mind taking a shot at it. If I get it, it'll be nothing but sheer luck. But I'm going to start with the Lions. Is that one of them?
The Lions is one of them.
Okay, okay, hold up now. Okay, now, let's go back and let's look at, oh man, it's fixing to get tough. It's fixing to get tough. And we're talking about playoff teams, right?
Do you know your alphabet?
I knew my alphabet a long time ago. I don't even need, I got autocorrection now. I don't need.
I'm not going to tell you the answer, but I'm going to help you out a little bit. Okay. So you started with Detroit, right? That's a D, right? Okay. Well, the other 2 in the alphabet come before D.
Oh, well, that shouldn't be too hard. Tell me who they are. I got 1 out of 3. That's 33%. That's pretty good.
You've already mentioned the other 2 teams.
Oh, yeah.
You've already mentioned them, really.
Yeah.
Buffalo and Cleveland.
Oh, wow. I should have gotten Buffalo. I probably wouldn't have gotten Cleveland. I have a hard time putting a finger on Cleveland.
They're considered the Lake Erie team.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
So, I just thought I'd bring that out. And I'm sorry to embarrass you on national radio. Millions of folks.
Let me tell you something.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
You got to do a lot better than that to embarrass me. I've made a history out of embarrassing myself. I don't turn red very easy. Hey, listen to this. That's good. That's an interesting tidbit of what do you call that word? Trivia. That's a great one. The Lake Erie team. Do you have any other team groups like that you'd like to enlighten us on this evening? Or is it just Lake Erie? They ain't another bunch?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, look, we got that.
We just have to see how things go. The AFC. We talk about Kansas City and Miami. I believe it'll be a close ball game. I believe Texas and Cleveland will be strong. Cleveland's got Flacco, Ravens quarterback. He's had a great comeback year, and he'll go going against the rookie from the Texans, and that'll be a lot of excitement up down there in Houston. That'll be good. And then then I know a couple of NFL teams, NFC games that. Could be, Tampa and Philadelphia. That might be a pretty good game down in Tampa.
What's happened to Philly?
I feel like the Eagles will win.
Yeah.
I feel like the Eagles will win that game. Eagles are going in as the 5th seed and Tampa's the 4th seed. So I really believe that they'll go in there. I believe that, Dallas should win. They should win. Of course, I've been saying that for 27 years now.
That's a classic matchup right there, the Cowboys and the Packers.
Yeah,
I remember watching those first the NFL back in the day when Bart Starr were there, the first Super Bowl on the Ice Bowl and all that stuff, man.
Sure.
A lot of history there, the Packers and the Cowboys, and you think the Cowboys had to get that one. I'm excited about the Lions and the Rams. I told you early on in the season, you asked me who my favorite team was, and I said the Lions because of Benito. And the Lions, man, they're fooling around there. And how do you like their chances against the 6 seed Rams?
Well, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a game down to the wire. You know, the Rams kind of went into San Francisco this week, and some people might call it a meaningless game, and it could have been. But I think the games. You know, every game's got some interesting quakes about it. You know, as far as that, you know and this game has the two quarterbacks actually were kind of traded for each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's going to be an interesting line, and, you know, there. And, you know, a lot of people are already kind of fussing and complaining and saying that the Lions coach shouldn't have played all their starters last week. You know, one of them got hurt, and big tight end got hurt, and maybe out for the game. And, you know, you just never know. Injuries do have sometimes when you lose one player, it does make a difference in the outcome of the game. You wouldn't think it would, but sometimes it does, you know, just what somebody can bring to the game, because the game's all about matchups nowadays, you know.
It really is. Hey, Dale, let me tell you this. Go ahead.
And like you said, the Cowboys Green Bay, I mean, that's a historical game. That's been played, you know, those games. But McCarthy, the Dallas coach, used to coach at the Green Bay, and so I think that'll be a really interesting game. But really, you know, I just look at, and you know, you're looking down the road, and I can see Frisco being in there, and they'll probably have to play Philadelphia. I just been looking at that. I think, and I think you know, Dallas will be there, and I'm not sure about the other outcome of the other game.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Dale, let's take a break for a minute, and you and I are it tonight, so let's take a break to hear from our sponsor, and then we'll come back after the break, and we'll find something else to talk about. How about that?
That sounds good.
All righty, we'll see you after the break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. We've talked about the NFL playoffs, Dale and I are, and there's a couple of things that went on that's going on this season. We're going to talk about Montez Sweat a minute, and we're going to talk. But let's just start with him. Dale, you remember him, Mississippi State guy?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when he played up there. He was a good pass rusher for the Bulldogs back in a few years ago. Well,
I tell you what, he's holding up. Listen to this. Montez Sweat has accomplished something that's unprecedented in NFL history this season. Never been done. He's had 6. Let's see here. He's led 2 teams in the same season in sacks. He's got 6.5 sacks. Go ahead.
That's impressive.
That's impressive. It's 6.5 sacks for the Commanders, not the Commodores, they singers. For the Commanders this season before they traded him to Chicago, and he's got 6 more sacks for the Bears. He's a sack machine, is he not?
He is. He gets after quarterback, most definitely.
In 4.5.
A lot of them Mississippi State boys.
Yeah.
A lot of them Mississippi State boys are doing that. I saw where Chris Jones got like
oh my goodness,
over $1 million for getting his sack. Ever what his sack goal was for the year, you know.
Is he the most dominating defensive lineman when it comes to? I mean, that guy's phenomenal.
Yeah, you know, he's kind of taken over for Aaron Donald. You know, Aaron Donald was the man for a while, and he's still playing for the Rams. But, you know, in that Super Bowl a couple of years ago, he really dominated. But Aaron Donald did. But, yeah, I think Chris Jones is becoming the next Aaron Donald for sure.
Yeah. That's a Mississippi guy, too. I want to back up, though. In 4.5 seasons with the Commanders, Sweat had 35.5 sacks. The Bears traded a second-round pick for him and signed him to a 4-year, $98 million contract extension, hoping that by the time his career is over, he ends up with a lot more sacks in Chicago. And it looks like that's panning out for him because he's already leading the team in sacks. Dale, there was an interesting thing that happened this past weekend when the Saints and the Falcons were playing. I've been to a lot of Saints games through my lifetime and watching them play the Falcons, and man, that's a great rivalry. And I mean, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just going to do a loose memory and talk about this. The Saints wound up, I don't know, it was might have been a kickoff return, interception return. Anyway, they ran a ball down there to the 1-yard line, and they were ahead. Didn't have to score. The game was fixing to be over. And I think it was 1:13 left, and they had run an interception back to the Falcons' 1-yard line, and they took the backup quarterback in and was told to go to the victory formation. Well, the Saints players changed the play and scored another touchdown because they wanted to help somebody get a record or a personal best or something. Are you familiar with that?
Well, yeah, the running back. I can't remember his name right now, but I believe he played for Detroit last year, and the Saints got him, picked him up, and he led the NFL. And I don't know if he led the NFL or not, but he scored 17 touchdowns last year for the Lions. And he's played for the Saints all year, and he hasn't scored a touchdown all year.
Yeah, Williams. Yeah.
And so the backup quarterback, Jameis Winston, was in the ball game. And I think what made the Falcons mad was that the Saints lined up in victory formation.
Yeah.
Like that's what they were going to do, and then they let the guy run the ball. But the coach, I could see the coach was not real happy after the game, and he was hollering at the Saints coach, and he said, "You cost me my job."
Yeah.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he cost him the job, but he got fired before he got back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, but in reading all the little quirks out of New Orleans since the incident, the coach apologized. He said, "Hey, he overruled them and told them not to do it. They brought it to his attention earlier in the week, and so, but all the players." Basically are saying, "Hey, that's what we wanted to do, and we really don't care how the Falcons feel." That's basically. Jimmy Graham, the tight end for the Saints, he came out with that, but several others did too. So I don't know, but it seems to me to be, I'm not sure if the Saints players understood what spot they put their coach in. It's like the coach is in a spot now where, some other people got mad at him from other teams, but also it almost makes him look like that he's not in control of his team.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how the NFL players are a different beast than anybody I've probably been associated with. They kind of have their own schedule and their own timetable and things like this nature. So
yeah,
it's an unusual situation.
Yeah. Let's kind of turn our attention. These NFL players, we talk about how much, they're independent fellas, and they make a lot of money. But you know what? These announcers, Dale, they may be hope for you. You're a radio personality. I want you to listen to what some of these NFL announcers earn. Some of the highest commentators take home more than footballers. Greg Olson, $10 million a year. Kirk Herbstreit, $10 million. Mike Tirico, $10.5. Jim Nance, $10.5. Al Michaels, $11 million. Joe Buck, $12 million. And Cadillac, you know what I'm talking about? Cadillac, Chris Collinsworth, $12.5 million. And then Tony Romo, $18 million. Hey, we need to get Jamie to give you a raise. Troy Aikman, $18.5 million. And listen to this one. Tom Brady, What do you think they're paying him? He's going to be doing some commentary with Fox. 30.
Well, I know he's what?
30.
He's about a year.
$37.5 million a year. Tom Brady. $375 million deal with Fox. And if you ever, old Brady, I mean, he's been mighty good. He's a highly intelligent fellow, appears to be on most fronts. So he ought to be a good one. I mean, Romo's done a real good job, and he's getting $18 million a year for it. That's not a bad way to make a living, is it?
No. But I see some of those announcers, and I remember back in the '60s, you had certain announcers. There was a Kurt Gowdy and Dick Enberg, and then you had the Chris Jacksons. Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
And then you had the. And then you went into the next stage, you had Pat Summerall and John Madden, and you're going through all these announcers, but there's a few of them I'm kind of tired of,
Yeah.
They've been there a long time,
Oh, dude.
And, you just hear them over and over and over, and basically they're saying the same thing about every game. So, they don't have a lifespan. It's not very long.
Yeah.
Maybe a decade up there,
Yeah.
As far as their lifespan, but
Right.
as far as their career span on a national network,
We're going to use this NFL deal to kind of segue into the college side. We're going to start with talking about J.J. McCarthy and the quarterback from Michigan. His NIL value is $1.4 million, which ranks him number 11 for all college football players. I think he's in the position where he's got to decide whether he wants to come back for another year or not. Of course, nobody really knows what Harbaugh's going to do up there. There's a lot of speculation he may be jumping to the league after winning this championship. We'll talk about that. But I don't know. What do you think about McCarthy? I mean,
I personally, I think JJ's had a great year. I've enjoyed watching him play. I'd like for him to come back for another year. I just think the quarterback class this year, he probably needs to. I don't think he'd be a high pick, but he is a high pick for college, if that makes sense.
Well, Matt Miller said
I think he needs to stay another year, but you talk about these coaches. No, you don't know if their coach is going to be there next year or not. I saw a piece this morning that Kirby Smart is going to meet with the Atlanta Falcons owner.
Oh, really?
And a lot of it has to do with all this transfer portal stuff and the way the bowls are now. There's a lot of stress in college football. Because you lose one game, you're out.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you go 9-8 and make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's interesting. That's interesting.
And you don't have to worry about kids and grades and hiring coaches and this and that every year, because usually when you get a pretty good staff, they'll stay with you in the NFL.
Yeah. I want to back up to McCarthy. ESPN's Matt Miller said that he's firmly a first round if he declares for the 2024. That's McCarthy's view on him. But you know what? We talk about Michigan. There's not Quinshon Judkins. He's going to Ohio State, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe he's committed to them.
Okay, never mind.
Quinshon from Ole Miss.
Yeah, never mind.
He's a good running back.
I was going to go in a different direction, but I was saying, well, if he's going up to Michigan, he don't know if the coach is going to be there. But last night we had a national championship game. And yeah, we did. And you know what my favorite moment of that game was? I'm going to tell you.
Your favorite moment?
It happened early in the game. And Coach was over there on his hands, with his hands on his knees, bent over looking at the ground, looking like he was in deep contemplation. And his brother walks up. and gives him a hug.
Yeah,
Man, that was awesome. Those two guys.
Brotherly love.
That's right. He was there. John showed up to help old Jim out, and his daddy, I think, was in the stands. But he talked about, those two guys coached against each other in the Super Bowl one time.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl together in New Orleans.
That's pretty impressive.
Jim had the 49ers.
Yeah.
And that's nice. The lights, the night, but the Super Bowl, the lights went out, the electricity went out for about 45 minutes down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh, then they're playing the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I remember.
I forgot about that. That's crazy.
But wouldn't it be odd that if the brother won the Super Bowl this year? It'd be a pretty good. It'd be a pretty good party this year, wouldn't it?
I tell you what, that wouldn't be a bad bet if one was inclined to make a wager.
Yeah.
Who won the ball game last night, Dale? Who's national champions in NCAA football? Tell us about it.
Michigan.
The Michigan Wolverines.
Yep, and they deserved it. They played well.
Man, I tell you what, that they have had a good run, and you know what? There's a lot that's going on with Michigan this year. Harbaugh had to miss 6 games, and he didn't coach in 6 games, and they've won them all. So the Big Blue. That's one of the big ones, buddy, and in every respect of football, and. I'm disappointed the SEC wasn't in it, but I respect Michigan and what they stand for, and what they've accomplished through their term, their tenure as a football powerhouse since the beginning of football.
Well, they've got a great history. They got the largest stadium in basically in the United States.
The Big House.
They got the largest, the Big House.
Yeah.
It's like 110,000.
That's a good name.
And I think it's the third largest in the world. I was reading, this week, leading up to the game. Michigan football is one of those. Even as a kid, I sat there. Back then they didn't have many games on television, but. Every year you get excited. You want to see Michigan and Ohio State play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Last game of the year, I always showed them on national television,
Yeah.
And, that's back when they would show that game in Nebraska and Oklahoma and USC and UCLA. And I think Alabama and Auburn were thrown in there, too. And, that's the games you watch, Texas A&M. And you watched all of them the final weekend. They were the games that everybody watched. And, that, and of course, Ohio State and Michigan, they still getting after it still today,
Boy, yeah, they hate each other.
I'm sure the others, except for, I guess, Nebraska and Oklahoma, I don't think they play as much as they used to.
Mm.
But, the rest of them are still getting after it, Notre Dame, USC was always a big game.
Yeah. Yeah. Dale, we're getting short of time. I'm going to ask you to consider this.
Well,
if you were in your final CFP poll, if you were on the committee, who would your top 4 teams be after the CFP playoffs? How would you rank the top 4 teams? Who would they be?
Well, I would rate probably Michigan 1, and I'd probably put, just for the sake of them finishing second, I would go with Washington second. I would probably go with Alabama third, and maybe Georgia fourth, and Texas would be my 5th place team right now.
Oh,
and Ole Miss would be in my top 10. Ole Miss would be in my top 10.
Yeah, I can see
Most
that.
definitely.
Yeah. I've considered in looking at the competition between Michigan and Washington, Michigan and Alabama, I wonder if anybody would put Alabama over Washington.
Well, yeah, that would have been. The only reason I did was because they did play in the championship game.
Do you think that's what
I
the posters
are? I think they earned the right
to be number 2
there because they did a pretty good Texas team.
Yeah, they did. Well, Dale, we're about out of time, buddy.
Change your mind. Change my thoughts.
Well, listen, my friend, it's always
who would you rated the top 4?
Well, I don't know. I'd have probably put. I would have been inclined based on the game between, the overtime game between Michigan and Alabama versus the way that Michigan handled in Washington. I would consider putting Alabama in second. That's about the only change I'd make. But I'd consider that. But I understand the rationale, and I really think that's probably what's going to happen. They were in a championship game, so I think it's probably a default 1 and 2. But I would consider Alabama at number 2. But anyway, we're out of time. And it's always a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun. I've enjoyed our time together, and we got the Michigan Wolverines, and as the national champions in NCAA football, and we'll just get back and get on this basketball and see what happens. And before long, we'll be having, who knows what's next. But for right now, anything you want to holler out here? Anybody want to holler out too before we sign off?
Well, just before I finish, we'll do our best to have a guest next week. We've kind of taking a slack on the guests because of the holiday schedules and things like that. But we'll try to have somebody back with us next week talking sports with us. And I just want to say, is it time to say goodbye, Dale?
It's time to say goodbye, Dale. And we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.